any inside information. The lady that did it, she got in there. I mean, she made it happen.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
And I do enjoy drinking cold beer at ballparks. So if that makes me a baseball fan, then I'm a diehard baseball fan.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Monday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM. A little Hacker After Dark, before dark. Once again, in for Rick Ballou. Rick will be back with us tomorrow here on 1010XL. A Monday evening that finds us with a lot going on. Winter Olympics in full swing. We got hockey, we got curling, we got all sorts of medals being handed out. We had a very, very entertaining finish to the Daytona 500 yesterday. We find ourselves only a week and a half away from the NFL scouting combine up in Indianapolis. The Florida Gator basketball team with a dominating performance again on Saturday and a win over arch rival Kentucky. And oh yeah, there was that Travis Hunter news that came out over the weekend that he is going to be reportedly primarily a defensive back in 2026 with a sprinkling in at wide receiver. So needless to say, there is a lot to get into on this Monday night edition of Hacker After Dark. Guest lineup tonight looks like this. The man that had that report for the NFL Network about Travis Hunter, Cameron Wolfe, he is going to join me coming up here in about 15 minutes or so. We'll talk to Cameron about his report, about his thoughts on Travis Hunter, his thoughts on William Cohen, first year here in Jacksonville, a little Devin Lloyd talk, a little Travis Etienne talk as well, as those are certainly the two biggest Jaguar free agents that are set to hit the market 3 weeks from today. So Cameron Wolfe of the NFL Network joins us in about 15 minutes. Also, Jamal St. Cyr of Channel 4 talking Jaguars with us in the 7 o'clock hour, and former Florida Gator Patrick Young. Patrick does Gator Bites with me every Friday. We're lucky enough to have him periodically here on Hacker After Dark, and we'll talk to the 2014 SEC Defensive Player of the Year about his thoughts on the Gator basketball program and their win over Kentucky this past Saturday. So we are absolutely loaded. We are with you till 8 o'clock. As always, Jacksonville, we are happy you are spending part of your Monday evening with us. Every night here on Hacker After Dark, we do kick it off with a big deal of the night and Aaron Williams. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal?
No, because it is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
Well, it certainly was a big deal outside of Jacksonville. I don't know how big a deal it was here, but the Travis Hunter story kind of blew up, at least on social media over the weekend. Again, Cameron Wolfe of the NFL Network had the report. He's going to join me in 15 minutes. That Travis Hunter is going to reportedly be more so a defensive back, full-time, and a part-time wide receiver, whereas last year it was pretty much the opposite. And people outside of Jacksonville were just taken aback by that. They couldn't believe it. They were up in arms. I mean, I saw a lot of people just couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe the value the Jaguars gave up to get Travis Hunter. Couldn't believe he's going to only play one side of the ball and not the other. There was a lot of Travis Hunter conversation over the weekend. So let's take this in different thoughts, all right? Because there's a lot of branches to this. Number one, this should not surprise anybody that Travis Hunter is going to be a defensive back primarily, and he's going to play more defense than offense in 2026. Simply look at the Jaguar roster, right? It's not rocket science. I don't know why so many people couldn't believe it. At wide receiver, you have a really good trio with Parker Washington, Jacoby Myers, and Brian Thomas Jr. And if you want to lump Britton Strange into that, feel free. Those are four really good options in the passing game. The emergence of Parker Washington, the acquisition of Jakobi Meyers probably changed some of the Jaguar thought processes when it comes to Travis Hunter. You then look on the defensive side of the ball, knowing that Montaric Brown is going to hit free agency on March 9th, knowing Greg Newsome is scheduled to hit free agency on March 9th. Jordan Lewis coming back off an injury. Jarian Jones is there, but there is a lack of corners with the uncertain futures of Newsome and Brown. Travis Hunter, most people will tell you, was a much more polished defensive back coming into the NFL than he was a wide receiver. And the thought was Jacksonville put him more at wide receiver in training camp, practices, all that sort of thing, to work on him being a wide receiver because they also thought he was a much more polished defensive back. So why are people up in arms about this? Well, I think there's a couple of reasons. Number one, it's the fantasy football guys. And look, I'm a fantasy football guy. I love fantasy football. I'm not knocking them necessarily. But over the weekend, particularly on social media, you had guys that cover fantasy football for a living that were somewhat angry that the Jaguars were going to use Travis Hunter primarily as a defensive back, probably because a lot of those guys probably used high draft picks in their fantasy dynasty leagues to take Travis Hunter. So they're a little upset that they drafted a corner primarily instead of a wide receiver. And they wanted to take their aggression out on somebody, so they start knocking the Jaguars for just giving up too much to take a defensive back. Well, look, all right, the Jaguars were not going to get Travis Hunter at number 5 last year. They weren't. He was not going to be there at number 5. So if you're going to trade up, if you think he's the guy, you trade up. The Browns traded back to 5, took Mason Graham. The Jaguars gave up a second-round pick. And the Jaguars and the Browns flipped 4th rounders. And, of course, the Jaguars gave up their first this year, which turned out to be number 24 overall. Me personally, I don't think that's still very much to give up, even if he is just a defensive back. But keep in mind, he is still going to get offensive snaps. I would guesstimate 10 to 15. He'll have some packages put in there for him, which I think is the direction that they need to go. Make him cornerback 1. What if he's Champ Bailey? That was the comp for this guy from a couple of draft people I talked to last year. You know, you just went 13-4. You just won the AFC South. And what if you just added a top 10 corner to this team in Travis Hunter? A guy that played very, very sparingly at defensive back last season. There's ways to look at this glass half full, and there's ways to look at this glass half empty. And for some reason, people chose to knock Jacksonville this week because of this news. To me, this news is good. It's good because they like what they have, they being the Jaguars, with Brian Thomas Jr., Parker Washington, and Jakobi Meyers, and Brenton Strange. And it's good because Travis Hunter fills a need, and it's not necessarily a requirement now to bring back either Montaric Brown or Greg Newsome. If you did not have Travis Hunter, you were going to have issues at corner. Now, let's say hypothetically, they bring back Brown, let Newsome walk. And if your opening day starting corners are Travis Hunter, Montaric Brown with Jordan Lewis and Jarian Jones, well, you could do a lot worse than that. With Parker, with Jakobi, and with BTJ as the starting wide receivers. You could do a lot worse than that. I didn't understand the venom. I didn't get it, other than fantasy football guys were upset that Travis Hunter's not going to play, 70 snaps a game at wide receiver, and maybe people overdrafted him last year. That, to me, was a lot of the venom towards the Jaguars on social media. Look, I've said this for the first month plus of the offseason. I'll continue to say it. And this conversation will change once we find out what the Jaguars ultimately do in free agency, which, by the way, is 3 weeks from today. Monday, March the 9th is when you can start negotiating. You can actually sign contracts on Wednesday, March the 11th, which is the first day of the new NFL league calendar. When it comes to Jacksonville, right, when it comes to Travis Hunter, they don't have a first-round pick this year. But what they do get is Travis Hunter back, who only played 7 games last year. By the way, Caleb Ransaw is an interesting piece in all this as well. You know, we just assume that he's going to play safety, which he very well likely will. But Caleb Ransaw played a ton of nickel in college. Do the Jaguars think Caleb Ransaw can kind of be like an Antonio Johnson type? Maybe some safety, maybe in certain instances nickel corner. And if you add Ransaw into the mix, who they used a 3rd-round pick on last year, they must have liked him. Now all of a sudden you talk Travis Hunter, Caleb Ransaw, Jarian Jones, Jordan Lewis, Eric Murray, Rayon Lane, Antonio Johnson. Not to mention they have, 11 draft picks right now anyway, including 4 in the top 100. They're in a good spot. They're in a good spot offensively. They're in a good spot defensively. Now, are there questions? You betcha. There's questions about the future of Travis Etienne and Devin Lloyd, questions about the futures of Montaric Brown and Greg Newsome. Then we talk about the veterans that are free agents, from Dewey Wingard to Dennis Gardeck to Tim Patrick, DeJuan Smoot, Austin Johnson, Emmanuel Agba. There are certainly decisions that need to be made. By the way, I don't know if you guys saw this earlier today. The Jaguars have re-signed their first 2 free agents of the offseason. Running back DJ Dallas gets re-signed, and defensive lineman Matt Dickerson. Dickerson started on the practice squad last year, worked his way up, and was dressing at the end of the year in place of Mason Smith. And Matt Dickerson gets re-signed today by the Jaguars along with DJ Dallas. So those decisions are starting to get made now 3 weeks away from NFL free agency. At the end of the day, here's what this Travis Hunter news means to me. The Jaguars were a 13-4 football team last year, and they did that in large part without the services of Travis Hunter, either on defense or offense. Now that 13-4 football team has just added a cornerback 1 to their defense, which is what Travis Hunter is. If Travis Hunter is going to focus primarily on defense, he's going to be CB1 on this team. So your 13-4 team just added a cornerback 1 option in the secondary. I get that outside Jacksonville, people were up in arms about, well, you traded up to number 2. You said he was going to play full-time both ways. That was never going to happen. Hey, you know what? Let those people take a victory lap if they want to, if they're so inclined. All I know is that our 13-4 football team, our 13-4 football team that just won the AFC South, our 13-4 football team that had a head coach, finished second in Coach of the Year voting, had a quarterback as a finalist for Most Valuable Player, has now just added a CB1 option to the secondary. And I still believe he will get some touches on offense, 10 to 15 snaps a game, somewhere in that ballpark. Let the outside world say whatever they want. I'm going to put my trust into Liam Cohen and James Gladstone and Tony Baselli. Because based on what those guys did in year 1 with this roster, I can't wait to see what those guys are capable of doing in year number 2 with this roster. 904-641-1010 on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures. Again, 904-641-1010 if you want to get involved on the text line tonight here on Hacker After Dark. Again, Jamal St. Cyr of Channel 4 joins me towards the top of the 7 o'clock hour. But let's talk more Travis Hunter. Let's talk Jaguar offseason with the man that had the initial report, the man that kind of started this social media meltdown outside of Jacksonville when it comes to Travis Hunter, and that's Cameron Wolfe of the NFL Network. It all started with his report on Friday evening, and Cameron joins me next on a Monday night here in Northeast Florida We're glad you're with us. Hacker After Dark till 8 o'clock here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM.
Live streaming from the XL Digital Studios. Brightened by Harbor Dental Care, Jacksonville's first choice for dental emergencies.
Do you have clicking, popping, swelling, or pain in your knee or shoulder? This can be due to arthritic changes in your joints. Over time, you have wear and tear of your cartilage. I am Dr. George Bari, and here at Bari Orthopedics, we have numerous ways to treat your arthritis, such as regenerative medicine, including PRP and joint replacements with CT guidance for accuracy down to the millimeter. If you are experiencing any of these symptoms, call us for an appointment today, or log on to BariOrthopedics.com.
Find out more at BariOrthopedics.com. That's BAHRI Orthopedics.com.
When you're faced with damage in your home from water, fire, or mold, you need a team with the expertise to fix it right. RestoPros! A locally owned, nationally backed franchise that's here to help you when you need them. A team that does it right the first time. RestoPros! Remember, you don't have to use the insurance company's preferred contractors. Get it done right by a licensed professional you can trust. Call 904-201-9151 or go to RestoProsNEFlorida.com. That's RestoProsNEFlorida.com. RestoPros!
Don't miss the Bari Breakdown with Dr. George Bari on XL Primetime, Wednesdays around 1:35 for the latest in sports injuries from all the big names in the game. Who's MIA, who's coming back? Dr. George Bari on XL Primetime, Wednesdays at 1:35 on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Hicken here. Experience crystal clear vision with the Eye Associates, formerly Bow 9 Associates, Schneider Eye and Wellness Center, and Janet Betchkel, MD, Jacksonville's leader in advanced eye care. From routine eye exams to specialized vision care, their experienced team dedicated to improving and preserving your vision. The same care you've come to trust, now with a new name. To schedule your appointment today, call the Eye Associates, formerly Bowden Eye Associates, Schneider Eye and Wellness Center, and Janet A. Betchkel, MD, at 296-0098.
Instant Keys is turning 25. A quarter century of saving the day when your keys mysteriously vanish.
Seriously, it was just in my pocket.
Or when that remote fob decides to quit working.
The dealership is such a hassle.
For 25 years, Instant Keys has been the go-to locksmith service for car keys, house keys, transponders, re-keys, and even high-tech smart locks. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you for honest, professional locksmith service. Use Instant Keys.
The road to March runs through Jacksonville. The 2026 Atlantic Sun Conference men's and women's basketball tournament is coming to VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena. Catch all 24 Division I basketball programs in action March 3rd through 9th. Reserve your seat today at asunsports.org/tickets. Jacksonville is the destination for ASUN basketball. Get your tickets to the 2026 Atlantic Sun Conference men's and women's basketball tournament today. asunsports.org/tickets.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's game time, Farah doesn't flinch. Here's another call on the 1010XL hotline, driven by Key Buick GMC, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, we are glad you are with us. Big news over the weekend as it was reported that Travis Hunter will be primarily used as a defensive back here in Jacksonville and used sparingly at wide receiver. I guess Jacksonville folks probably weren't as surprised as the national folks were. There was certainly a lot of talk about it. The man that had the report is Cameron Wolfe of the NFL Network, and Cameron's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Cameron, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
Hey, Cameron, we're good. Thank you so much for the time. All right, your report kind of blew up a little bit. Let's first and foremost get your thoughts when you were told by your sources that Travis Hunter will be used primarily as a defensive back here in Jacksonville moving forward.
Yeah, this is something that has been, coming for months now. And, James Gladstone, the Jags GM, kind of referenced a little bit of it some weeks ago, talking about, their plan to continue to use him as a two-way player and maybe play more on defense. My report just kind of took it to a further level. I've been told, for weeks coming that they plan to use him as a full-time corner. One of those starting spots there is. You're going to see most likely Montero Brown or Greg Newsome, one of those two, be able to leave in free agency and kind of open that spot for Travis Hunter to play cornerback, the spot they feel like he is the most naturally gifted. He didn't spend as much time there this past year. They think he can be elite. at that position. And so you'll see him there, most of the game. And I think as far as the offense element, I think you look at the roster and you see what the breakout was with Parker Washington. The breakout was with Jakobi Meyers after the trade, along with Brian Thomas still being there. It makes sense. But I also think this is something that was already going to be the plan even before Travis got hurt. I had reported in the middle of the season that they had planned in 2026 to make him a full-time corner. So this is nothing new. I've been reporting it for months, but I think the actuality comes into the fact that coaches got back in the building about a week and a half ago. They started to put together the plan of how we see certain players, and that's the early conclusion. Is that, hey, we're going to use Travis still on offense. I think that, fantasy football fans are going to be upset because maybe he doesn't get 1,000 yards receiving, but I think he'll still be an impact player on offense just situationally. And on defense is where they think maybe he can be one of the best cornerbacks in football.
It's interesting you say fantasy football. To me, that was part of the biggest uproar was the fantasy guys that drafted Travis Hunter so high last year, thinking he was going to be offense and used sparingly on defense. Cameron, in your opinion, or from what your sources are telling you, if Hunter is primarily a defensive back, what does that mean for Greg Newsome and Montaric Brown, who are both hitting free agency in 3 weeks?
I think one of them will be elsewhere. I think you'll see, the Jags negotiate with both guys. Obviously, they traded for Greg Newsome. Buster Brown's been there for a bit, but was drafted by the previous regime. It wouldn't shock me if both of those guys departed, but I think at least one of them will find probably more money elsewhere. You got to think about this. The Jags are going to have to make some decisions on paying some people coming forward. They've got a Trayvon Walker decision coming up here. Do you give him extension? Some of these big cap numbers come up. You start to get to the Jakobi Meyers contract. You start to get deeper into the Trevor Lawrence contract. And some of these cap hits make it tougher to pay big money for the cornerback position. So I think you're going to see one or both of those guys gone in free agency and Travis Hunter sliding in. And then you'll have Jordan Lewis and Jerry Jones still there at the slot position. So they think there won't be much of a drop-off, if not improvement on that side of the ball by inserting Travis full-time.
Cameron Wolf of the NFL Network. It's interesting with your report that Hunter is going to play primarily defense coming up in 2026. The emergence of Parker Washington, as you mentioned, the arrival of Jakobi Meyers. Who knows if Jakobi Meyers is even here? If Travis Hunter doesn't get hurt last season, was that the biggest telltale sign from what you were told? Just there's only one football and you got a really good trio at wide receiver, not even to mention a guy like Brenton Strange at tight end as well.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Look, I've been talking to people in Jacksonville throughout the year, throughout the offseason, people in the front office, the coaching staff. I think I have a good pulse of where they are with the roster. And it's funny because early on in the season, the clear hole was in wide receiver. And I think that's why you saw Travis playing maybe a surprisingly larger amount on offense and defense. I think they initially thought maybe this was going to be an even split. But the roster dictated it, and I think they really needed more weapons for Trevor, and they were actually planning to make Travis the number one receiver coming out of the second half of the season after the bye, but then he got injured. And so it kind of just shows you the flexibility that Travis provides this team, because you can go into it with one mindset, he's going to be heavy this way, and then your roster changes. They didn't expect Parker Washington to be as excellent as he was. They wanted Jakobi Meyers, obviously, to be productive, but he was arguably Trevor Lawrence's most reliable receiver, and they obviously paid him big money with an extension. And so your roster dynamics change. And, Travis may be, at this stage, the fourth most polished receiver. Now, his upside may be number one, but you got to figure out, hey, how do we divvy up snap time? It's easy just to say, hey, we're going to put him at corner where we have the biggest holes. And we can divvy up his play time based on where we are as the wide receiver room develops. I think they'd love to get him maybe 40, 50% of the snaps on offense, and that could increase based on health, based on how he can handle it. His conditioning is incredible, but they do think that now, a year under the system, a year of knowledge, he can be able to handle that cornerback position while still being able to be an impact on offense.
Cameron, I want to ask you about Devin Lloyd and Travis Etienne, but I want to get your thoughts as well from a national point of view. About the Jaguars, Liam Cohen, year number 1. I mean, obviously 4 wins to 13 speaks for itself, but you personally, what did you think of the job that Cohen and Gladstone and Baselli did here in 2025?
I think it was incredible. I think that there was a lot of question marks. Don't forget when they hired these young guys of, are they ready? Do they know what they're doing? I think they had one of the best seasons of any team last year, going from 4-13, 3-14. Some of the moves they've made, even some of the ones that don't get a lot of credit. You look at the moves they made in the secondary, getting a Jordan Lewis, getting some great safety play, being able to bring in pieces on the offensive line to make them really strong up front at times, and a unit that really struggled before. That when they were able to be able to get the most out of Trevor Lawrence. Liam Cohen deserves a lot of respect for that, because remember, there were a lot of questions of, is this guy good enough? Is he the franchise quarterback? And by the end of the year, we were talking about him as an MVP candidate. That's the work that Liam Cohen's done with his footwork, rebuilding his confidence, being able to help him go through progressions. And I think going forward, you look at this Jags team and think, why can't they take the next step instead of, hey, do they need to make significant changes to get there? I don't think this is a team that, hey, we got to do a complete rehaul. I think this is hey, we add 2 or 3 more pieces, and maybe we're competing with the New England Patriots, the Buffalo Bills, the new Kansas City Chiefs for this potential, AFC. So I think this is a strong start. Obviously the trio of Boselli and Gladstone and Cohen really worked well together. I think they all excelled in what their role was. And I thought the fan base really bought in. That's a credit to Tony Boselli of the type of identity they wanted to be. They were really this underdog, we take every chip on our shoulder mentality. And I think the fan base embraced that. I think the team embraced that. And it really excelled players maybe even beyond their talent level.
Cameron Wolf of the NFL Network. The Jaguars were the only team, Cameron, that interviewed Liam Cohen. Did other people just miss on Cohen last year? Was it as simple as that?
Yeah, I think that you're looking at a situation where you are a year early rather than a year later. I think that, when sometimes these offensive-minded head coaches come up, you're not sure if they're ready to hire a staff, ready to build the roster up. And then for Cohen's perspective, he had bounced around a lot. So I think there was some concern of how long is he going to be able to build this thing right? But I think that I was not surprised at how well he did offensively. I was pleasantly surprised at how well he was able to build a culture. Because sometimes you see these offensive-minded coaches, and they're really good with the quarterback, they're really good with the scheme, but the rest of the team falters. And that was not the case with Liam Cohen. You saw him after post-game, and energy brought the enthusiasm. They really took the identity of their head coach. And so I think that trio just did a great job, and obviously Gladstone with the players they brought in.
Cameron, as we wrap up, let's begin with Devin Lloyd. The franchise tag for linebackers in the NFL, it's ridiculous that they don't distinguish inside linebackers from edge guys. I mean, the franchise tag is like $28 million. So that's obviously not going to happen with Devin Lloyd. Is there any scenario you can see where Devin Lloyd is back here in Jacksonville in 2026?
Depend on his market. It's going to be tough. Look, I said it earlier, they got some people to pay coming up. And traditionally, that linebacker position is not a position that the Rams, where James Gladstone came from, have traditionally put a lot of value on. Now, I had a conversation with Gladstone earlier this year about that, and he essentially mentioned the fact that, hey, the play of Devin Lloyd maybe is changing my opinion of the value of the position. And you've got a defense coordinator in Anthony Campanelli who is coming from a linebacker background, who has helped build Devin Lloyd up and has done a great job for that. So I think they value him. They would love to bring him back, but what is that number? Is it 20? If you get to 20, I don't think Jacksonville's being able to compete with that. But if they can get him to 10 to 15, maybe there's a way they can work that out. So the linebacker market is usually kind of volatile. It just depends on what the competition is. Last year, Zach Bond got a really big number. I'm sure Devin Lloyd and his team want to match or exceed that. And if so, that may be tough for Jacksonville to get there.
Final question. Travis Etienne might be the more complicated one. He thrived in Cohen's offense last year. He is 27. and I'm sure Travis and his representatives realize he's probably going to only get one more, big-time deal. A, what type of market do you think ETN will have? And B, how active will Jacksonville be in trying to bring him back?
Yeah, Travis had another great year. And look, every year it seems like people are trying to put Travis Etienne out the pasture of, hey, this is the year they're going to move on from him. Somebody's going to get a really good running back, whether it's Jacksonville or elsewhere. I know Tuden had obviously played a lot behind Travis, but Travis was still the more productive running back given the volume. Again, that's going to be a money question. Can Travis get a James Cook type number, which may be outside of the Jags price zone, especially given they haven't traditionally, again, I'm pointing back to the Rams because that's where Gladstone built his chops and a lot of what their identity is going to be. They haven't traditionally put a lot of value in that position. He's another guy that could be priced out in free agency. I think they probably are going to have a number for both him and Devin Lloyd of, hey, this is the most we want to go to, and the market's going to dictate if they can keep them. So I'd be surprised if they kept both of them, but could they make it work for one? Sure. I think they're already starting on this process. I don't know if it's public yet, but their core guys are not going to be at the combine. They're going to start the Rams process and kind of be at the facility with the coaches, with the front office, and kind of evaluate there and send their medical team, send some scouts to the combine. But they're not going to do the regular time there because that's just the process they want to start going forward. It's what the Rams have done for a long period of time of not seeing necessarily the value of sending everybody to the combine here. We can get more work done at home, and they've already started on figuring out free agency. So hopefully they have a head start on what they want to do with those two guys and what they want to add. But I definitely think you'll see them focus on, hey, what are our most valuable players and positions, and prioritize giving those guys long-term extensions and maybe letting some of the less valuable ones go.
Absolutely crazy. The Super Bowl has only been in the rearview mirror for 8 days, and already all the NFL news. We saw Miami have a couple of big releases earlier today. Yep. The Jaguars brought back Matt Dickerson, DJ Dallas, and now all eyes are on the scouting combine next week. Cameron, give NFL Network some love, man. You guys kill the combine every single year. This year will be no different. What can people look forward to next week?
Over it in Indianapolis, we're going to have our coverage on NFL Network throughout the day, Insiders at night. So, yeah, that's our baby. We do it big, and then once we get closer to the end of the week, we'll have all-day draft coverage for the Combine Thursday through Sunday, through Monday, actually, with all the position groups. You'll see all the Rich Eisens, the Rich Run, everything you want to get there. So it's that time. I just got back from the Super Bowl last week, and you're back in it. So we got to feed the beast, keep fans happy, and we're going to do that coming up here with the Combine and free agency right around the corner.
Cameron Wolfe of the NFL Network. He had the report this weekend about Travis Hunter playing primarily defensive back in 2026. Cameron, I know you're busy, man. Thank you for the time. We'll talk soon, pal.
Okay, sounds good, man. Thanks.
Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser.
We pretend to entertain.
They are the morning team known as The Drill.
I don't know what I'm doing. I'm sorry, is that funny? Are you stand-up comic?
Right here on 1010XL.
We know exactly what you're not thinking about right now. Wiper blades. But now that you are, take a moment to think about how Rain-X is the #1 brand of wiper blades in America. Why? Because Rain-X thinks about wiper blades all the time. We obsess, so you don't have to. Simply install our blades and then think about literally anything else. So choose Rain-X, America's #1 wiper blades, and then go back to not thinking about wiper blades. Rain-X. Outsmart the elements.
Lauren Brooks here for Terminix. When mice and rats show up in your home or business, they can be a real pain. You need them out fast, before they have time to multiply. Terminix knows how to shut down rodents and will keep them from coming back to wreak more havoc. When rodents show up, so does Terminix. Don't live with a rodent problem, Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online just like I did. That's TERMINIX.com. TERMINIX.com.
When your home or business deserves more than ordinary glass, you trust the experts. Capital Capital Glass and Shower Doors has been elevating spaces for over 40 years with precision, craftsmanship, and clean, modern design. From sleek frameless shower enclosures to elegant glass railings, wine cabinets, and any custom glass that makes a statement, Capital Glass delivers unmatched quality, service, and attention to detail. Your vision, their expertise. Capital Glass and Shower Doors at capcoglass.com.
Hey, Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
The toughest bulls, the bravest riders. For 8 seconds, it's all on the line. Glory or nothing. These are cowboys who face down danger, defy the odds, and push themselves beyond limits most wouldn't dare. This is their world, where legends are made on the backs of ranked bulls. It's bull time, Jacksonville. PBR Bucks into VyStar Memorial Arena, February 20th and 21st. Get your tickets now at pbr.com/tickets.
Valentine's Day is sweet, but let's be honest, your septic tank wants attention too. Because when it gets ignored, it doesn't sulk, it causes problems, big ones. That's why DuckDuckRooter, the only master septic contractor in Northeast Florida, is rolling out the Show Your Septic Some Love promotion. Right now, get $50 off septic tank pumping when you book by February 28th. Give your septic a little love now so it doesn't make a big scene later. When you start, call the Duck, 904-862-6769, DuckDuckRooter.com.
Welcome to Key Buick GMC, proudly family-owned and operated since 1943. Come see why they're North Florida's new and pre-owned truck center, conveniently located on Southside and JTB, just minutes from the St. John's Town Center. At Key Buick GMC, every new vehicle comes with our lifetime powertrain warranty. Key Buick GMC, we are professional grade. Online at keybuickgmc.com. Lifetime powertrain warranty covers engine, transmission, drivetrain only. Exclusions apply. See dealer for details. The Purple Heart isn't just a name. It represents service, discipline, and earning trust. At Purple Heart Pools, that standard shows up most in pool renovations. If your pool is outdated or worn down, now's the time to upgrade. So when summer arrives, your pool is ready. From new finishes and tile to decking, lighting, and full transformations, every upgrade is handled with precision and attention to detail. Purple Heart Pools. Pool renovations done right.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focused, fueled, fearless, Farah. Hacker, After Dark, on 1010XL.
In for Baloo till 8 o'clock, Hacker After Dark. Thank you to Cameron Wolf of the NFL Network for joining us tonight here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. So tomorrow is the first kind of big day of the NFL offseason. Tomorrow starts the 2-week window where NFL teams can place the franchise tag on their free agents to be. And if you place the franchise tag on your free agent to be, that means more than likely you're going to keep said player because it is going to cost another team an awful lot of draft compensation to get that player off of your roster. Of course, for the Jacksonville Jaguars, the two biggest free agents that are set to hit the market on Monday, March the 9th are Devin Lloyd and Travis Etienne. I would be... should I say flabbergasted? Is that strong enough? I'd be flabbergasted if Devin Lloyd was given the franchise tag. The NFL needs to do something about this. And I feel like we talk about it every year, but now because it revolves around the Jacksonville Jaguars, it'll be more of a talking point here this year. The NFL does not distinguish the edge linebacker position from the inside linebacker position. And what I mean by that is a franchise tag for a linebacker is $28 million. That's what the Jaguars would have to guarantee Devin Lloyd if they put the tag on him. $28 million. Because inside linebackers are lumped in with outside linebackers, like TJ Watt, like Micah Parsons, among others. So the Jaguars are not going to put the franchise tag on Devin Lloyd. No way, no how. Travis Etienne, well, that's more debatable, but I would highly doubt they're going to do it there either. That would cost the Jaguars upwards of $14 million to put the tag on Etienne, and I don't expect them to do that. Excuse me. So what does that mean? That means I believe Devin Lloyd and Travis Etienne are going to hit the free agent market on Monday, March the 9th. Have they both played their final games in Jacksonville? I'm not ready to necessarily say that, but I'd be very surprised if Etienne got franchised, and I'd be just bumfuzzled if Devin Lloyd got franchised because of the money that would require.
What was that word again?
Bumfuzzled. Any word you want to use, any verbiage you want to use. Shocked. How about that? To make it clear, shocked. I'd be shocked if Devin Lloyd got that. What's your thought on Lloyd and Etienne as far as coming back here?
My gut says Lloyd is gone. My gut and that Etienne is staying.
So you think Travis Etienne will be back?
Yes. I don't think Lloyd will be back. I think that I think it will cost too much, and I think that they can get maybe a guy that's not as talented as Devin. I mean, because he had a great year, but I think they can find cheaper options to keep themselves, with the money down.
You're a Rams fan. For people that don't know, Aaron is maybe the biggest LA Rams fan in Jacksonville. You're one of like 7 Rams fans that live here.
Probably 2.
So you have a familiarity already with James Gladstone and Les Snead, right? And Les Snead, obviously, who Gladstone learned from. Les Snead does not pay inside linebackers.
Nope, not at all.
So the question is Gladstone going to learn from his mentor and not pay inside linebackers, or is Gladstone going to differ from what his mentor does?
I mean, they were able. The Rams have been very successful with not paying their linebackers, even though we did just pay Nate Landman this past in the postseason there, or the end of the regular season, but. They have gotten away with not paying their linebackers and have gotten good success. So, I mean, it can be done. Will the Jaguars do that? That remains to be seen.
Etienne's the interesting one because he flourished so much in Liam Cohen's offense. Do you pay him maybe more money than, say, a Rachaad White? I don't know. I mean, Rachaad White played for Liam Cohen in Tampa in 2024. He's a free agent. He would be cheaper. Did you see enough from Bashal Tootin and Quint Allen Jr. to where you don't want to pony up the extra bucks for Etienne? That, to me, is going to be the more interesting of the two. If I was a betting man, and I'm not, but if I was, I think Lloyd is gone. Etienne, I'm 50-50 on. I could see it going either way, but I would be pretty surprised if Devin Lloyd was in a Jaguar uniform this year. By the way, other franchise candidates around the league. Again, the tag can be placed on guys starting tomorrow for the next 2 weeks. Kyle Pitts in Atlanta. Trey Hendrickson in Cincinnati, although I'd be shocked if they did that. Dallas has basically already come out and said they're going to franchise George Pickens. Indianapolis could franchise Alec Pierce, or I guess Daniel Jones. They're not going to franchise Daniel Jones, I wouldn't think. But I could see them potentially franchising Pierce. If Pierce hits the market, he's going to get a lot of money. The New York Giants, there's a lot of speculation about some of the guys they're going to franchise. ESPN lists Wan'Dale Robinson. Are you kidding me? They're not going to franchise Wan'Dale Robinson. Breece Hall with the Jets is an interesting one. Breece Hall is probably a top 10 running back in this league. The Jets are clearly in rebuilding mode. Do the Jets want to allocate a lot of money on Breece Hall when they have so many other needs elsewhere? Kenneth Walker in Seattle, the recent Super Bowl MVP. Could he be franchised by the Seahawks? A lot of those questions we'll start getting answers to beginning tomorrow and up through the next 2 weeks when the franchise tag can be placed on players around the National Football League. Big news in Miami earlier today. Tyreek Hill released. Bradley Chubb, released. Offensive lineman James Daniels, released. Those were the big three. There were a couple other minor ones, but Tyreek Hill and Bradley Chubb, both guys are veterans. Both guys have been injured in the recent years. Bradley Chubb, I had Jaguar fans texting me and tweeting me earlier today, hey, Bradley Chubb, I just don't know if that guy has anything left. Good player, but he had an ACL recently. I just don't know what's left there. Tyreek Hill's 31 years old, had a devastating injury last season. Obviously, at one point, was maybe the best wide receiver in football. I could see maybe him reuniting in Kansas City, maybe going to a Baltimore with Lamar Jackson. I don't know how much you expect to get from Tyreek Hill. He's certainly not going to be the player he was 3, 4, 5 years ago. But I do think Hill and Chubb won't be out of work long. And the Dolphins kind of did them a favor. Because if you're a free agent, you have to wait until March 9th to start negotiating. If you're released by a team, you don't have to wait till March 9th. You can start negotiating after you clear waivers. So Tyreek Hill and Bradley Chubb, hypothetically, could be on a new team by the end of the week. I think both veterans probably want to find a new home prior to free agency starting, where they're going to have their pick of the litter. If they wait till after free agency, well, then some teams may allocate more resources elsewhere and won't have the funds to get a Tyreek Hill or a Bradley Chubb. Speaking of players leaving, a couple of Jaguars are staying. DJ Dallas re-signed here in Jacksonville. He was brought in when Bashal Tutin got injured towards the end of the year. Did a lot on special teams for the Jaguars in his 3 games. Again, raising the floor of the roster. I like DJ Dallas. As a return man, spot duty, a running back, again, I have no problem there. And it's a guy that loves the fact that he's in Jacksonville. I talked to DJ Dallas in the Jaguar locker room the day he was brought here from the Panther practice squad. The guy was genuinely happy to be a Jacksonville Jaguar. He was excited about the opportunity, which, again, you talk about the culture of this team. That's kind of what the Jaguars are looking for, that Jaguar DNA they talk about. And then Matt Dickerson was a great story. I talked with Dickerson a ton this past season. Really like him as a player. He was the guy that supplanted Mason Smith. The reason Mason Smith was inactive for those couple of games was because Matt Dickerson was active and playing. So Matt Dickerson re-signs, DJ Dallas re-signs, the first 2 Jaguar free agents that we have some clarity on, both Dickerson and Dallas back in Jaguar uniforms. More on the National Football League. Jamal St. Cyr of Channel 4 joins us in less than 20 minutes. Coming up next, boy, what a sports weekend. From Gator basketball to the Daytona 500 to the NBA Slam Dunk Contest, which was abysmal. There was a lot that happened in the last 48 hours. We'll talk about it next here on a Monday night in Northeast Florida, Jacksonville. We're glad you're with us on Hacker After Dark.
Find Florida Gators basketball on 1010XL.
The first place Gators go for 6 in a row. Florida, South Carolina at the O-Dome. Tomorrow at 7 on 1010 AM.
Leon Serza here, your lemon pepper guy. You know Wingstop always delivers. And I'm not talking about their cook-to-order, hand-sauced and tossed chicken sandwich in your choice of 12 mouth-watering flavors. I'm not talking about the house-made ranch. So good, nobody will blame you if you double dip. I'm talking about Wingstop that delivers straight to your door. And did you know they're open until 1 a.m.? So visit wingstop.com or use the app to get flavors delivered right to your door late night only at Wingstop.
Can't stop. Wingstop.
Good luck surviving the offseason, football fans.
At first I was afraid, I was petrified. Football's over, it's like a part of me just died inside. 200 days till football's back, but tonight I won't just cry, cause I've got a ways to play. And that's the place with Hard Rock Bet, I will survive.
Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, please call 1-833-PLAY-WISE.
The offseason is when you add speed, power, and precision to the team. This is your game plan. Keep the offseason rolling with AA Automotive and 1010XL. AA Automotive on Richard Street. Family run since 1954.
Hey, Jacksonville DDH. Dreamfinders Danny Hicken here with the scoop from Dreamfinders Homes, your national builder of the year. We've got first-year interest rates as low as 2.99% and homes in 20-plus communities throughout Northeast Florida. If you're house hunting, make sure your first pick Dreamfinders Homes, the proud official home builder of the PGA Tour, the Florida Gators, and your Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit dfhsalesevent.com today and tell them Dreamfinders Danny sent you.
DivorceMenOnly.com. This is Kenny Lay of Kenny Lay & Associates. Our firm specializes in representing men in family law. That's all we do. That's our only focus. We can help with all of your family law needs, such as divorce, custody, alimony, and child support. For over a decade, we have helped thousands of men with these types of issues. We even have an appellate division ready to challenge a judge's ruling. If you need a family law attorney, go to DivorceMenOnly.com. DivorceMenOnly.com. Offices, Jacksonville.
Could you imagine? There was a time you could just tell your kids to shut up, right to their face. No explanations, just shut up. How much easier would that have been? Why is the sun hot? I don't know. Why don't you shut up? That was uncalled for.
Tom Hopper Live in the Grateful Bread Tour. Saturday, February 21st, on stage at Florida Theater. Tickets are on sale now at floridatheater.com.
Hicken here. Restore comfort and confidence with oculoplastic specialist Mary Kate Wilson, MD, at the Eye Associates, Jacksonville's expert in oculofacial plastic and reconstructive care. Dr. Wilson specializes in eyelid surgery, cosmetic and reconstructive procedures, and treatments, always with a personalized approach. Now seeing patients at the Beaches, Southside, and St. John's locations. To schedule your consultation with Dr. Wilson, call the Eye Associates, formerly Bowden Eye Associates, Schneider Eye and Wellness Center, and Janet A. Betchkel, MD, at 296-0098.
Northeast Florida's highest-rated residential home electrical contractor is American Electrical, providing unsurpassed quality in Duval, St. Johns, Clay, and Nassau counties. No matter your electrical problem or project, large or small, American Electrical will get it done at a price that's right. High-quality electrician, that's who they are. Trust a company that's been on the First Coast for decades, proudly serving the community while being a big part of the community. Call American Electrical for all your electric needs at 737-7770. Wired right at a fair price.
This is Mark Nato. My sons and I have seen the doctors and PAs at Southeast Ortho for everything from lumbar spine stress to elbow tendonitis. Southeast has always been there, been truthful, and always been on point. Everything they say happens. We can't thank them enough for what they've done and the great care that they have taken of our sons.
Relieve pain and get back to life. SOS. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Interesting weekend in the world of sports. Let's begin with a quick thought on the Olympics. I always love a good controversy. You know, controversy creates cash was a wrestling book that came out, a decade or so ago. And I tend to agree with that. Controversy creates conversation, certainly. I never thought we'd be talking about a controversy in the sport of curling, because I'm not sure if anybody would have ever cared. But did you see the interaction between Canada and, was it Sweden and Switzerland? The Canadian men's curling team apparently had been known to do this and had just not been caught. And again, I don't know all the rules of curling. I'm not going to break it down to where it's I know what I'm talking about here. But apparently you're not allowed to double touch it when you're releasing the block. And the Canadian guy was caught red-handed doing it. he denied it vehemently and started cussing out the other team, the Switzerland team. So not a good nation exchanging pleasantries there. I thought Canadians were supposed to be above that sort of thing. But the Canada guys got called out for cheating. Boy, they didn't like it. They took exception to it. And the video, plain as day, shows the guy double touching it. Now, I don't know if that's illegal or not. Again, I don't necessarily know the rules of curling, but I know the guy released it and then put his finger back on it to guide it. And apparently you're not allowed to do that. And the Canadian women actually did get caught by the ref and got penalized for it, I believe, yesterday. So I don't know what they're doing in Canada when it comes to the curling and how they're teaching that, but apparently it's not kosher with what everybody else does in that sport. And by the way, look, a lot of gold medals have been handed out. Figure skating, and we talked about the luge and the skeleton and all this stuff. I don't know if they just decide to have an entire regular season of curling, how they decide to hand out those medals. Curling was like one of the first sports that went last week, and it's still going. Like I saw the U.S. team today, the women played their 6th match. They have 3 more matches before they even can qualify for the medal round. I mean, they play as many curling matches in 2 weeks as some college football programs play in 4 months. I mean, it's crazy the amount of curling going on at the Winter Olympics, but I did think it was interesting. A good cheating scandal in the Olympics is always fun, and we kind of had that with the Canadian curling team earlier this weekend. As far as the NBA All-Star Game festivities, look, I kind of like what they did with the game. I didn't watch much of it because I was still trying to recover as an Orlando Magic fan from what happened Saturday night. You know, not only has the Orlando Magic just been the biggest disappointment, arguably, in the entire league to this point, sitting 28-25, but all right, we send our rookie, Jace Richardson, to the slam dunk contest. His father, Jason Richardson, a slam dunk champion in his own right, a former member of the Orlando Magic. So at least we could have one of our guys participate in the slam dunk and everything's going to be great, and we can forget for one night how disappointing the season's been to this point. No, that doesn't happen because our guy, our rookie, Jace Richardson, going up for a dunk on the side of the rim, basically hits his head, I guess, on the backboard and then just went down like a ton of bricks, landing on his back, darn near landing on his neck. One of the more awful falls you'll see in a slam dunk competition. I mean, what are we doing? And as far as the rest of the dunks went, you know, for those of you that are old enough to remember the great battle between Michael Jordan and Dominique Wilkins, what was that, 1986? Or even the moments of glory that a J.R. Ryder or a Harold Miner gave us leading up to Vince Carter in 2000. Obviously, what guys like Dwight Howard and Blake Griffin did, Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon, even Mac McClung in recent years. I mean, the dunk contest has been going downhill pretty steadily, but at least there's been something of substance. Saturday night, when the highlight of the dunk contest is my man hitting his head off the backboard, that was literally the most interesting thing that happened the entire night. Adam Silver, the commissioner of the league, needs to come out and do this. Either our main guys are going to do the dunk contest, you just need to get rid of it. Just need to get rid of it. Now, if you get a commitment from Wemby next year, or Giannis, or Anthony Richardson, or even if it's not that caliber, if it's maybe the next tier down, if a Paolo Banchero will give you a commitment, or a Bam Adebayo, or somebody like that, okay, fine. Well, then it can stay in. But if it stays what it is now, with 4 guys that most NBA fans have literally never heard of competing in this thing, I don't know why you would do that. I mean, it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be entertaining. And Saturday night was nothing short of embarrassing for the league during the slam dunk. And it's really a shame to see what that thing has become. Quickly to the Daytona 500. Told you guys I was going to give it a look. I was going to give it a watch. And I'm happy I did because it had one of the better endings that you'll ever see. Now, I know some of you don't like the wrecks and stuff or the carnage that happens. For the casual NASCAR fan, that's why you watch, quite honestly. And there were a couple of big ones. But, boy, in that last lap or two, that was some good stuff at the end of the Daytona 500. Tyler Reddick wins, driving for Michael Jordan. Boy, you know, the fact that you had 30 cars within a second and a half of the lead with like 5 laps to go. Pit crews became involved because you had to time out when to pit correctly. And then it all comes down to that final lap, that final really half a lap when a couple of wrecks happened. You're on the final lap, so it stayed green. And, man, for Reddick to do what he did and get in that winner's circle at the very last moment, that was good theater. If NASCAR gives me that every week, I'll be back in because that was fun to watch. I, for the first time, quite honestly, in a couple of years, sort of enjoyed watching the Daytona 500 again, particularly at the end of the race. And then finally with Gator basketball, and we'll do more on this towards the bottom of the 7 o'clock hour. Former Gator great Patrick Young will join me then. But Florida wins again, 93-84 over Kentucky. The Gators are now 19-6 on the year, 10-2 in the Southeastern Conference. I'll tell you this, too. When you have a blue blood like Kentucky, when you have the Kentucky Wildcats and members of their media on social media taking moral victories after only losing by 9 to Florida, they only lost by 9. They showed some fight. Talk about embarrassing. Kentucky, what are you doing? To say that we only lost by 9? Proud of the fight that was shown? And as far as Todd Golden goes, and I'll get more into this tomorrow night, Golden is turning into that guy that every other team hates except the team that he coaches. If you're a Gator fan, you love him, obviously. And if you're not a Gator fan, you can't stand the dude. He takes shots at everybody. He took shots at Charles Bediako in Alabama and backed it up. Did you see what Golden said after the Kentucky game? Well, they got a $22 million roster. I mean, just a shot at the NIL resources dedicated to Kentucky, and that didn't seem to matter because Florida put it on them by 9. The Gators 10-2 overall, or 10-2 in the SEC. They're 19-6 overall, and now we have to battle complacency. And I'm going to talk with Patrick Young about this at the bottom of the hour. Think about the last 4 or 5 games: Alabama, Texas A&M, Georgia, Kentucky. All 4 of those teams are NCAA tournament teams. All 4 of those games were big games for the Gators. Now they play the dregs of the SEC. South Carolina tomorrow night is awful. Florida beat them by 47 a couple of weeks ago. Remember that? And that was in Columbia. Now South Carolina comes to Gainesville, and then Florida travels to Oxford to play Ole Miss. Arguably the 2 worst teams in the SEC are Florida's next 2 games. Are they going to take care of business as they should? Or is there any chance of a track game, being complacent because you've played so many big matchups and now you play 2, quite frankly, bad teams? It'll be interesting to see what happens beginning with that game tomorrow night against the South Carolina Gamecocks. More on that with Patrick Young, former Gator great, comes up at the bottom of the 7 o'clock hour. But let's get back in to the National Football League. Let's get back into the Travis Hunter conversation. Jamal St. Cyr of Channel 4 joins us next on a Monday night here in Northeast Florida. Hacker After Dark, in for Baloo. Glad you're with us till 8 o'clock right here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
You know how superheroes have these secret identities?
Who is that girl? She's Lauren Brooks.
I'm 1/3 of an elite crime-fighting team backed by an anonymous millionaire.
On Helmets and Heels from 2 to 4.
At your service.
On 1010XL.
Baloo here for Smoonez Vision. Why Smoonez Vision? Well, I've been with Dr. Neil Smoonez now since I got back to Jacksonville in 2006. 37 years of experience he has. Smoonez Vision is a family organization that focuses on personal high-quality medical and surgical eye care. Dr. Catherine Smoonez is fellowship-trained in cornea and cataract surgery and all refractive surgery. Combined, that's 30 years plus in laser eye surgery. Visit SmoonezVision.com today. Here you can see.
The Brown Family YMCA in Ponte Vedra Beach is better than ever. Come experience our new renovated spaces, including an expanded wellness center with upgraded state-of-the-art equipment, recovery solutions, brand new locker rooms, and the Horsell Center for Health and Well-Being, all designed to help you feel your best. And now you can join with no joining fee. Plus, enjoy your 4th month free. There's no place like this place. And you'll love what's new. Visit the Brown Family YMCA in Ponte Vedra Beach.
Free oil change alert. Mike Dempsey here for Duval Ford Mobile Service. They're treating 8 listeners February 25th at the 1010 Studios during Jaguars Today. For your chance to win a free oil change, text OIL to 641-1010.
Jimerson Burr is a full-service, Florida-based commercial law firm that has experience and capabilities to handle any legal issue a business is confronted with. Learn more about what they can do for you at jimersonfirm.com.
The flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
It's free window February with Renewal by Andersen. Right now, when you buy 4 replacement windows, you get the 5th for free. Plus, 0 down, no payments, and no interest for 1 year. This offer expires February 28th. Renewal by Andersen, proud partner of the Florida Gators. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com to schedule your free consultation.
License number CGC 1527613.
This is Jeff Middlecoff with Cogent Bank. My associate Ryan Salem and I joined Cogent Bank because we wanted to revolutionize the mortgage business, just like Cogent Bank has revolutionized the banking business. So Ryan Salem and I are able to leverage the power and stability of Cogent Bank to go out and find our clients the best investors, the best products, and the best rates in the entire country for your particular mortgage loan. Of course, you don't have to be a customer at Cogent Bank to take advantage of our mortgage services to buy or refinance your home. We offer jumbo loans, VA, FHA, conventional, and investment loans. At Cogent Bank, we offer mortgages nationwide, so we can help you with a second home or help a family member who lives or is moving to another state. Call Ryan Salem or myself, Jeff Middlecoff, at Cogent Bank today, 904-442-9191, to see how we can help you with any of your mortgage loan needs, whatever or wherever they may be.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender, Cogent Bank, NMLS ID 402296, Ryan Salem, NMLS ID 1182429, Jeff Middlecoff, NMLS ID 249086.
For nearly 60 years, Green Acres Sporting Goods at the corner of Normandy and Hammond Boulevard has been Jacksonville's trusted name for the outdoors. From archery to hunting and fishing and more, their expert staff helps you get it right the first time. Right now, stop in and try the newest bows by Hoyt and Matthews and get dialed in before spring. Gear up today at greenacresporting.com.
For 25 years, Instant Keys has been the go-to locksmith service for car keys, transponders, and even high-tech smart locks. For honest, professional locksmith service,
Instant Keys comes to you. 1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's team time, Farah doesn't flinch. Here's another call on the 1010XL hotline, driven by Key Buick GMC. Home of the lifetime powertrain warranty.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, we are glad you are with us. NFL Scouting Combine in Indianapolis next week. We are inside of 3 weeks away until NFL free agency. And boy, there's a lot of Travis Hunter news that transpired over the weekend. Let's talk about all of it with Jamal St. Cyr of Channel 4, who's always kind enough to join us here on Hacker After Dark. Jamal, how we doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing, Hacker?
Hey, Jamal, we're good. Thank you for the time. All right, Travis Hunter. Boy, the Cameron Wolf NFL Network situation, the report that came out this past weekend had everybody up in arms, fantasy football players included, certainly. What did you make of the report that Hunter's going to be a primarily defensive back and maybe a sprinkling in of wide receiver in 2026?
It was a non-factor. I mean, if you listen to the end of season press conference from James Gladstone, I mean, he basically says that. I kind of got it pulled up in front of me. He says, obviously, you can take a peek at our expiring contracts on the roster and which side of the ball has more, talking about what Travis Hunter is going to end up doing. They have a bunch of expiring contracts at corner. They're actually decently stacked at wide receiver. There it is. I mean, James Gladstone basically laid it out as clear as he could for you right there in that one sentence of the team needs Travis to be a cornerback full time because there's a need there. You don't know if you're bringing back Greg Newsome. You don't know if you're going to be able to bring back Buster Brown. Jordan Lewis is coming off of an injury. Jarian Jones played well at the end of the season, was benched at the early part of the season. You need Travis to be the corner as opposed to that wide receiver. You know you got Parker back. You know you got Brian back. You know you got Jacoby back. You got these pieces in place. So it was one of those things that I think is making rounds, but I don't know that it's any groundbreaking kind of report.
No, I agree, and that's what I said. I actually got into it with a fantasy guy. I think the fantasy guys were the ones that were maybe upset by it, the ones that used high draft picks on Travis Hunter, thinking he was going to be a primarily wide receiver. Like you said, if you listen to James Gladstone, it's all you needed to hear back in January. But why do you think that so many people, nationally anyway, were taken aback? Is it just a matter of they just don't know the Jaguar roster very well?
I think there was this big rivalry right before the draft with Travis Hunter, where it was this huge debate. You remember it, Hacker, of what position would Travis Hunter be better at, wide receiver or corner, wide receiver or corner. And it felt like a lot of people fell on one side or the other. And then historically, when you use as much draft capital as the Jaguars did to trade up, you trade up for a wide receiver, not for a corner, because if you go by the position value chart, cornerback isn't as highly valued, blah, 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 blah. I can get into roster construction all day with you on maybe the value of a corner as opposed to a value of a wide receiver. But I think that's where it falls in. Does fantasy football factor into there a little bit? Absolutely. Because fantasy football betting, that's the bread and butter of the NFL. And for a lot of fans out there, a lot of folks are pushing that kind of stuff. So as a corner, he doesn't move the line as much as he does as a wide receiver, right? So I think that's a little bit of it. For me, man, this is honestly music to my ears. I always thought Travis was a better corner than he was wide receiver. I think he's a good wide receiver, but I think he's a great corner. And I thought that watching his stuff before he came out of college, before he was a Jaguar. So look, I don't know what the hoopla is about this. I think it's just that time of the NFL season where you get any one little sprinkle of something and people are jumping all over it, especially when it's got that name Travis Hunter attached to it.
Jamal St. Cyr of Channel 4. Not to get too much into the minutia here, but as a fantasy football guy myself, the idea that Hunter could be listed as a DB and you still get his points as a wide receiver for the 10 or 15 plays that he gets, I don't know why people are so upset by it, quite frankly. I think it's going to be a pretty good deal, all things considering. Let's get back into the real world now. You mentioned Greg Newsome and Monteric Brown. Jamal, what does this Travis Hunter news to you mean for the futures of Newsome and Brown here in Jacksonville?
I don't think it impacts it much. I mean, you still need a corner opposite of him, right? Let's say Travis locks down one side. Who's the guy on the other side? Those were your guys that held down most of the season there, what would be opposite of Travis Hunter. So we'll see. The Jaguars have a tough decision to make. I think Buster Brown's going to have a pretty decent market in free agency. So there could be a little bit of competition for his services, even if the Jaguars would like to keep him around. As for Greg Newsome, I think his market will be a little bit quieter, but you never know. He was a guy who was drafted relatively highly, so there could be some competition for his services too, since even though draft, I guess, capital shouldn't have anything to do with free agency at this point. Sometimes it tends to, but I could see Greg Newsome as a guy that's back on a 1-year kind of deal, just to, help the Jaguars figure it out, let him compete with Jarian Jones for that spot, and maybe even compete with a rookie. So I don't know. I think we'll keep an eye on it. I think the Jaguars have a lot of work to do before they get to free agency, because right now they have no wiggle room. They're over the cap. So a lot of work still to be done before they can even think about what they're going to do with some of these free agent guys.
And to that point, we're less than 3 weeks away from free agency. Look, there are some names that can be bantered about that you would save some money by making them post June 1st cuts. I think Armstead is one. Maybe Macari is one. What's your thought there, particularly with those two?
I think that there are some tough decisions that have to be made. And while it sounds great to move on from a guy, you also have to be able to replace a guy, right? For Macari, yeah, you could save some money with him. The big question would be, is Wyatt Milam ready to step into a starting job at that right guard spot, or are you comfortable with being able to draft a rookie, whether it be with your second-round pick or a third-round pick that's going to step in to that starting job? So tough decision there, tough question mark. Or is it Walker Little? We saw Walker Little fill in there. So I think this is the point where you can kind of move those pieces and think about that. As on the other side of the football, Armstead, look, Hacker, I think if me and you sit here and talk and lay out the Jaguars' biggest weaknesses on the roster, I think we'd say defensive tackles, if not the top need, darn near the top need.
Yeah.
So when you say, okay, get rid of one of your guys that started at defensive tackle almost every game for you last season, I think he had 6 sacks. That makes a glaring weakness even weaker. I'm not saying he's the solution by any means, but you always have to be careful at making a weak point on the roster even weaker. So you got to go out and look for those solutions. It's tough. I think those are real possibilities for the Jaguars to move on from those guys. I think James Gladstone's going to have to do a little cap gymnastics here to make this thing work. There could be a couple of restructures along the way and maybe an extension or two for one of those guys, like Brenton Strange or Parker Washington, to try and clear up some of those cap numbers. But, I mean, the one that would free up a bunch of money is if you can get an extension done with Trayvon right now. That would help you free up a bunch of money too. But I think you just got to be real careful on what you do here, because keep in mind, like Trent Baalke did them no favors with the contracts he was handing out. And now the Jaguars are having to clean it up. And while we've talked about it before, there's a solid group of talent on this roster that Baalke did bring in or help bring in. He also handed out some really bad contracts that have now tied the hands of this group as they have to try and clean this up and get the Jaguars back into a good salary cap state while trying to field a competitive roster.
Couple more for Jamal St. Cyr of Channel 4. It is franchise tag season. It would be shocking, right, if either Etienne or Lloyd got the franchise tag?
If Devin Lloyd gets the franchise tag, that would be absolute malpractice. And that's not a shot at Devin Lloyd. That's just the fact that he's lumped in with all of the linebackers on that franchise tag. So his franchise tag number is astronomical. You'd have to pay him like you pay Micah Parsons, which would be crazy. So, yes, no, definitely no to him. Tagging Travis Etienne, I would say, is not going to happen either. I don't think the franchise tag gets utilized for the Jaguars this go round. I would guess that both of those guys end up somewhere else, Hacker.
Well, let's go there next. Let's start with Devin Lloyd.
Okay.
I have talked to almost everybody locally, regionally, nationally that said Devin Lloyd is gone. I would agree with you. In fact, the only guy that I've really talked to last week was Greg Auman of Fox Sports, and he laid out the case for Lloyd to come back, and I appreciated his argument because it was at least different. He says with a guy like that, you got to find the funds. I would tend to agree with that normally, but again, I mean, with Campanile, I mean, he did the same thing with Quay Walker in Green Bay. Quay Walker was awesome with Camp in Green Bay. He comes down here to Jacksonville. Devin Lloyd's awesome. I don't know if he can't do it with Ventrell Miller or name your rookie that they bring in the 3rd round, or maybe they sign a Leo Chanel or somebody in free agency. I just don't know if you want to pay Devin Lloyd upwards of $20 million a year after a 1-year, terrific season. What's your thought there?
I think you hit it on the end. You said a guy like that, and the first thing in my head goes, a guy like what? A guy that showed up in 1 year of his contract? Look, I think Devin Lloyd had a fantastic season. Could he have turned a corner? Absolutely. It could be all up from here for that guy. But it could also be a 1-year fluke. We've seen Devin Lloyd. His rookie year, people need to think back to this. He started off gangbusters, man. You remember this, Hacker. Yeah. That rookie year, he's out there. He's the AFC Rookie of the Month. He's got fumble recoveries, interceptions. He's playing great. A couple weeks later, he was benched. couple weeks later, he was benched. He went from AFC Defensive Rookie of the Month to on the bench for Chad Muma. Devin Lloyd has had a pendulum swinging career. It's either high or it's low. There's been no middle ground with this guy. If you can find a reasonable contract on him, yeah, I think you try and keep him around, sure. And I think some consistency with having Coach Camp back for a second season helps that guy, because it's not the constant change that he's been through so far in his NFL career. Because switching from a Mike Caldwell to a Ryan Nielsen to a Campanile, that's hard. That's hard on these defensive guys, because there's a lot of things that change, whether it be read keys, footwork that the coaches want. There's a lot of changes. So you got to take that into account. But at the end of the day, look, while Devin's had a really good season, it's just that. It was a really good season. And right now, the Jaguars have to figure out, with not a whole lot of wiggle room in the salary cap, how to field a better roster than they fielded last year. That's the tough thing, which means you can't keep everybody. You can't pay everybody, because you got to find a way to improve your weaknesses. So the question is, how big of a strength is Devin Lloyd? What's the difference between him and if you go and draft Jordan Rodriguez or one of the other inside linebackers in this year's draft, or if you roll out Ventrell Miller or Jack Kaiser? How much of a different player or a different defense is it without Devin Lloyd compared to one of those guys sliding in? And honestly, Hacker, I don't know that it's that drastic. I think people are clinging to that 99-yard pick six against the Kansas City Chiefs and forgetting that he disappeared down the stretch of the season.
We got to go quick because I want to end with ETN, but you piqued my interest. If Lloyd is gone, Ventrell, Kaiser, or somebody else, what would your thought be there?
I think you let Ventrell Miller compete with a rookie that you draft maybe in the third or fourth round. I think a guy like Jordan Rodriguez would interest me. I really like Kyle Lewis from Pitt. There's a couple other linebackers in this year's draft, pretty deep class, that I think you could bring in a guy, let Ventrell beat him out, or let the rookie beat them out. I think that's where you're at. And maybe Jack Kaiser comes back and surprises a lot of people and can push his way into that battle. But I think that is what ultimately it's going to come down to.
All right, final thought. ETN to me is the more complicated one. Obviously, he was awesome in Liam Cohen's offense. He's been a fixture here. He's got the relationship with Trevor going back to college. But he's probably going to cost. He's 27. He knows, and his agent knows, obviously, that he's going to get probably one more pretty big contract, and this is his opportunity. So do you spend on ETN if you can find the funds, or are you okay with a Tootin, LaQuint Allen Jr., and maybe you go out and bring in a Rachaad White from Liam Cohen's past? Maybe you go out and get a Tyler Algiers. What's your thought there?
I'm with you. Look, I like the Tyler Algier. I'd even be willing to take a flyer on a Pacheco. Just give me a veteran flyer kind of guy that I think I can get something out of. Let him compete with Tootin, Allen, and I'd probably go back to the well in the draft one more time. I think Travis Etienne has been fantastic. I think he's going to cost. I don't think the Jaguars can afford it right now. I think it's a tough decision, obviously. And, I mean, Trevor's said while he was on Super Bowl Row that he would love to have Travis Etienne back, which is no surprise. I think most of Jacksonville would love to have Travis Etienne back. I think the coaching staff would love to have Travis Etienne back. But there's a reality of the NFL. It is a business at the end of the day. Travis has got to go where the money's at. And as a running back, he should absolutely take the cash. I think there's going to be a team that's going to throw him a solid contract, and I just don't see it happening in Jacksonville, Hacker. I just don't.
There are like a dozen veteran guys: Gardeck, Wingard, Smoot, Tim Patrick, Austin Johnson. If you could only bring one of those guys back, who's the most important guy to bring back?
The most important veteran guy, Quentin Morris, Hacker.
Oh, okay, yeah. Over Gardeck.
Morris. Huh? Look, I love Dennis Gardeck. I think Gardeck's one of the guys that I think you keep on that defense. But Quentin Morris, look at the tight end room, Hacker. Johnny Munt and Hunter Long were bad last year. You got Brenton Strange, and then who? Quentin Morris started the year on the practice squad, played his way into the tight end 2 spot. If you lose him, you basically have Brenton Strange and have to go get 2 more tight ends. That tight end room is sneakily one of the weaker positions on the roster that we don't talk about enough, because we're looking at backups. We're looking at Brenton Strange and saying, Brenton's so great. The Jaguars have a really good tight end in him. Well, the The vogue thing around the league is to roll out more 2 tight end sets and force the defense to adjust to you and then pass out of it, right? Well, the Jaguars don't have those guys right now. And if you lose Quentin Morris, then you really only have one single tight end and a couple of guys that the coaching staff really fell out of favor with really quickly last season.
Jamal St. Cyr of Channel 4. Jamal, I know you're busy, man. Thank you for the time. Let's circle back around the time free agency gets here. We'll see where some of this dust is settled. Always appreciate you, my friend.
For sure. Anytime, Hacker.
Great weather.
Check.
Great city.
Check.
Great sports talk for great people.
Check.
1010XL.
You know, I gotta get one of these.
Jacksonville Sports Radio.
Winter is in full swing, and Aleve is here to keep you moving. When the cold weather sets in, everyday aches and pains can linger, but Aleve's got your back. With up to 12 hours of body pain relief per dose, Aleve keeps you going with long-lasting body pain relief to get you through whatever the season brings. Chilly days or cozy nights, Aleve gives you that long-lasting body pain relief you can count on this winter. Try Aleve. Use as directed for minor aches and pains.
This is the kind of sandwich you don't rush. French dip at Firehouse Subs. Premium roast beef loaded with caramelized onions, melted provolone cheese, and topped with Italian seasoning. Stacked on a toasted garlic bread roll with hot au jus for dipping. For a limited time at Firehouse Subs.
Patrick Young here, a.k.a. the Big PY, and you know I love my Florida Gators. Now you can hear my Gator basketball instant reaction following each Gator Hoops game. Look for my takes on the social channels of 1010XL. Brought to you by VanguardSportsLeagues.com.
Lauren Brooks here for Terminix. When pests invade your home or business, you don't just need them out, you need them out fast. And you need to keep them out. At Terminix, they'll show up for you and eliminate pests quicker, just like they did at my house, because they care about what matters most to you. When pests show up, so does Terminix. Don't live with a pest problem, Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com. That's right, Terminix it.
Rick Ballou here with a congratulations for John's Auto. They've been in business in Jacksonville for 40 years. That's right, going all the way back to 1985. Right now, they'd like to thank each and every one of you who's ever gotten their vehicle serviced at John's Auto. So, car, truck, or diesel, all makes, all models, whether it's a routine maintenance or a complete engine overhaul, go to John's Auto on Arlington Road, johnautomotivejacks.com.
Pages in your mailbox right now. Did you know there's local savings sitting in your mailbox right now? Money Pages is packed with real coupons from your favorite local businesses. Save money at restaurants like Al's Pizza, on pet care at Forever Vets, and on entertainment for the whole family at the Alhambra Theater. Plus, make sure to download the Money Pages app for savings on the go. Money Pages in your mailbox right now.
Let's talk about the sound no homeowner wants to hear. Drip, drip, drip. Still dripping. That's exactly why Duck Duck Rooter created the Love Your Pipes promotion. Plumbing problems don't scare us. Not with years of experience and honest upfront pricing on our side. Right now, you can get free plumbing assessment on all fixtures with any paid plumbing service. It's the smart move to fix the issue now before it becomes bigger. So when you're stuck, call the Duck, 904-862-6769, duckduckrooter.com.
Hey, it's Travis from Cannons of Jacks. When you need a trailer hitch, gooseneck, or RV towing options, call us at Cannons. We've been doing it for 55 years, and customer service is our #1 priority. Visit cannonsofjacks.com.
Frank Frangie here for Coil Fencing. Since 1927, Jacksonville has trusted Coil Fencing to protect what matters. And I trust them too. From tough chain link to your commercial project to sleek aluminum fencing your HOA will love, Coil does it all. Did you know that Coil can also install, service, and maintain those automatic gates that help protect your neighborhood or business? To schedule a complimentary consultation, visit CoilJacks.com. That's COYLE Jacks.com. Coil Fencing, A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Hi, this is Dale Murray with Murray Automotive Group in Stark and Kingsland. Save yourself from those big city dealers and their fast-talking mumbo-jumbo. No matter what your automotive need is, we've got you covered. Ford, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, and nobody beats our prices. I mean nobody. Shazam! Plus our exclusive 15-year, 150,000-mile warranty included on every qualified vehicle. And we'll trade anything from high heels to wagon wheels. Compare our prices online at ShazamAuto.com. Then come see me, Dale Murray. I'll be waiting for you. Shazam!
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focused, fueled, fearless, Farah. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And thank you to Jamal St. Cyr of Channel 4. More Jaguar conversation certainly coming up throughout the week. Of course, next week, the NFL Scouting Combine in Indianapolis and NFL free agency 3 weeks from today. The negotiation period begins Monday, March the 9th. You can officially sign guys on Wednesday, March the 11th. Another big story over the weekend was the Florida Gators, the defending national champions, and boy, they looked the part. A dominating win over the Kentucky Wildcats. Florida now 10-2 in SEC play, 19-6 overall. Moved up to number 12 in the AP poll that was released earlier today. Let's look back on the Gators' win over Kentucky. Look ahead to their next outing, which is tomorrow night against South Carolina with the 2014 SEC Defensive Player of the Year, my buddy Patrick Young, who joins me every Friday on Gator Bites. He also joins us here on Hacker After Dark, talking Florida basketball with former Gator great Patrick Young. That's next on a Monday night here in Jacksonville, Florida. We're glad you're with us. It's Hacker After Dark.
From Duval to the world,
all communication lines are clear.
Download the 1010XL apps for free on Apple and Android devices and listen wherever life takes you. Streaming live from the XL Digital Studios. Polished by Harbor Dental Care, the locally owned smile restoration experts.
Rick Ballou for Coy Dental. That's right, Carlson Dental is now Coy Dental. Dr. Lee has been practicing there for 9 years, has purchased the company. The Coy Dental team still has the same great dentists and staff. And remember, if you get nervous visiting a dentist, don't. There's never a problem at Coy Dental. With light sedation for cleaning, then deep sedation for all your restorative needs. Coy Dental, located in Bartram Park.
My son had a meniscus surgery a couple years ago, went smooth as silk, was playing tennis in 2 weeks. This is Patrick Malarkey, and I highly recommend Southeast Orthopedic Specialist.
Our son Eric's a Division I collegiate baseball pitcher who is having shoulder pain. We took him to Southeast Orthopedic Specialist and are confident that he's now on the road to recovery. This is Beth Anderson, and we love the care Eric receives at Southeast Orthopedic Specialist.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialist.
Hey, this is Lauren Brooks, and if you think Closets by Design is just closets, you've got to see their brand new showroom at Phillips & Emerson. It's amazing what they can do. See for yourself how they custom design organization for any space. Garages, laundry rooms, bedrooms, even the man cave. It's all about smart storage that fits your lifestyle and budget. Schedule an appointment to meet with a design consultant and tour the showroom for ideas you can see and touch. Start at closetsbydesign.com.
Golf for a great cause. It's the UNF4 Scholarship Golf Classic, Friday, March 27th at Queens Harbor. Support the Swoop Impact Fund with a sponsorship or foursome. Contact jc.wegner@unf.edu.
Bueller. Stay cooler with Bueller.
I'm starting to realize being a homeowner isn't all upside, Jason.
I mean, it does give you a place to live.
Yeah, but now suddenly I need to know the names of all the people I need to look after my house.
Like who?
Like if my air conditioner breaks in the middle of the heat wave, I need to know who I call to fix it.
That's me. You know me.
But what if my water heater dies or my toilet backs up?
That would also be me. Bueller Air and Plumbing.
Okay, fine, but what about my duct cleaning and my water filtration and my sewer drain? Where am I going to find all those guys if something goes wrong? I'm just a guy with a house and a dream and...
This pair of sunglasses.
Whoa.
Bueller Air and Plumbing is the only name you need to know. Our club members even get 2 free visits a year, so you know we're there when you need us.
Well, that's cool.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Football's over, and it feels like a part of me died inside. This is Joe C. I know you know what that feels like, but have no fear. Revving your engines is here. The Daytona 500 is this Sunday. The fastest way to bet on the Great American Race is with the official sportsbook partner of the Daytona International Speedway, Hard Rock Bet. Don't miss out. Chase the checkered flag. Get to the winner's circle on Hard Rock Bet. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-833-PLAY-WISE.
Jake from State Farm. I just beat my running PR, so I'm celebrating with the Banana Bonanza smoothie.
Hey, and you can keep celebrating when you create an affordable price just for you by bundling your home and auto with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. Go bananas.
I will. Hey, make it a large.
Bundling, just another way to save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
Anytime you've got major plumbing problems, and even the minor ones, there's several potential causes, and they usually can't be easily detected. So don't guess at a solution. Hire Roland Reese Plumbing at plumbingjacksonville.com.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville. Triumph did a really cool thing last year, Greg. They went off-road. What's happening with Triumph?
Well, not only did they go off-road, they threw all the chips on the table. Ricky Carmichael personally developed this motorcycle for them. So if you haven't seen the Ricky Carmichael 450, you need to come see it. Also just released some Enduros this year. They've got a full lineup. You're going to love them.
Talking Triumph, the latest off-road. Cycles of Jacksonville on Atlantic near Regency. Check out cyclesofjacksonville.com.
Hello, this is Father Nicholas Lowe, and this month I want to talk to you about welcoming the winds of change in your life. But so often, when we see the winds of change coming our way, our immediate response is to fight it. Friends, when you see things in your life changing, when the winds of change are coming your way, don't fight it, but embrace it. Recognize that God is stirring you up so that you too can soar like an eagle.
For more inspiration, log on to stjohnthedivine.com.
This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On February 16, 2025, William Byron becomes the first driver since Denny Hamlin to win back-to-back Daytona 500s.
In the game of vehicle performance and reliability, Atlantic Infinity is always the top pick. This is Hayes Carlion. Did you know that every certified pre-owned Infinity is inspected, factory-backed, with a limited warranty, and gets the same championship-level service as a brand-new Infinity? Every mile will feel like first class. Check out their full certified inventory now at AtlanticInfinity.com or visit Atlantic Infinity off Atlantic near St. John's Bluff.
Zero Res wants to give your home the love and attention it deserves. This month, take $100 off your air duct cleaning. Book online anytime at ZeroResJacksonville.com and mention 1010XL or Dan Hicken.
Zero Res. 1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch. Now, the Monahan's golden moment. Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach, your local family jewelers.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Boy, the Florida Gator basketball team with another big win on Saturday as they take care of Kentucky. A 9-point victory. Florida's front court, again, very good. And the back court, Xavier Lee, Urban Klabsar were really, really solid once again. Let's talk about the win for Florida, what it means, and let's look at their upcoming schedule with a former Gator great. He was the 2014 SEC Defensive Player of the Year, 1010XL's own Patrick Young. Patrick, how we doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. I'm elated. This Gator team, they are, don't look at their ranking right now. I think this team is a top 6-7 team in the country right now. And what we're seeing is they have multiple ways to win. The team is trending in the right direction. Guys are stepping up. Still, obviously there's always going to be things they need to improve on. But as of right now, man, they have a pretty smooth schedule coming up here this week. And I wish I was in the O-Dome. Wish I could have made it, but I was covering the JU basketball game, which was another impressive win there for Jacksonville to get a win over the UNF Ospreys. But during that whole time while I was covering the game, I had the Florida game on in front of me as well. So double dipping,
Yeah, I'm a UNF alum, so that hurt me with the JU Dolphins winning the River City Rumble. But kudos to them. There'll be part 2 coming up later on in the year. As far as Florida goes, Patrick, I mean, I thought Kentucky played well. You know, it's one thing when you win a game if the team you're playing doesn't have a good game. I thought Kentucky, and you tell me, played about as well as they could have played, and Florida still was able to win the game by 9.
Yeah. Kentucky was really impressive. I think they're a good team. They were coming off the heels of winning 8 out of their last 9. And it just seemed that the physicality that Kentucky was bringing, we knew it was going to be a physical game. It's always a physical game with the Gators, but Kentucky is a very hard-nosed and type blue-collar team this year. You know, they're not they're not teams of old where you just see so much talent, a lot of alley-oops all the time. You know, Taylor Oway being their star player. He's a football player in a basketball body. And then, you know, Denzel Aberdeen, his reception back, he had the best game out there. You know, big thing, the Gators just, you know, and it's funny. This is what's funny, Hack, is that, you know, obviously Florida, they scouted. Every team does scouting, and it's just incredible that one of the things was to not let Colin Chandler get up as many 3-pointers as he was able to, and he still, I think he went 5 or 7 from the 3-point line. So a lot of slippage there, but you know, every time Kentucky cut it, I think they cut it down close to 2 points. Florida was able to manage, and you got to give so much props to Klobuchar, as you said. You know, Sinyuli didn't have his best game. Cotton didn't have his best game. But Xavier Lee and the stats that we have to continue to pay attention for, you know, Xavier Lee has not been turning the basketball over. He is at the peak. He's playing the best that he's been playing in this Gator uniform and consistent. And the biggest thing, you know, if the shot's not falling, he's not hurting the team because he's helping the team in so many ways. He passes the ball really well. He's taking care of it. He's getting to where it needs to go. He knocks down the free throws. So, you know, and you know, I think the biggest thing, you know, looking at Klobuchar, we were all curious, would he be enough to replace Denzel Aberdeen, since we knew Denzel was kind of like a microwave, you know, that he'd come off the bench and you get instant offense. And I don't think Klobuchar defends as well as Denzel Aberdeen does, but on the offensive side, he's way more efficient. His shot is better. He comes in and impacts the game right away. Coach can trust him. You know, if Xavier Lee isn't playing well, you can trust that he can put Klobuchar in. So just overall, man, just a great sign pointing to this Gator basketball team being primed. You know, I think they might stub their toe and have a loss here before we get to the SEC tournament. But, you know, and if they do, it'd be by some, you know, aberration or something on the road. But, man, this team is looking really good right now.
Former Gator great Patrick Young here with us on Hacker After Dark. Of course, you get Patrick every week with myself on the Gator Bites podcast on the 1010XL social media platforms. Patrick, you talk about the backcourt, man. If that backcourt continues to play as well as they've played the last couple of games, Florida can absolutely win the national championship. And Xavier Lee, let's begin there. And I want to get your thoughts on Klobuchar in particular, but let's begin with Lee. Boy, he looks a lot more confident, man. I mean, there were maybe some confidence issues with the shooting. Obviously, he was hearing it from the outside. Maybe that was affecting him. But in the last 2 to 3 weeks in particular, he looks like a completely different player from the perimeter.
Yeah. But, you know, I think part of it was, I think, Coach Golden, and I may have said this last Friday, you know, if there's 10 key metrics that go into winning a basketball game, and let's say you always want to get the majority, 6 out of those 10, let's say it's obviously points, paint points, 3-point, defensive, whatever, turnovers, points off, whatever, second chance, etc. You know, the Gators are very good at what those 6 are going to be. And, you know, they have, like, offensive rebounding is something that we know they're going to bring to the table every single game. They didn't offensive rebound in a spectacular fashion against Kentucky as they have against everybody all year. But they have those 6 metrics they know they can control. They know they can bring to the table. Not saying that it's going to be easy. And none of those 6 are focused on making 10 threes a game. They're not focused on, all right, we have to make 40% of our threes. Coach Golden has even said it. You know, we obviously want to shoot better, but we've adapted and adjusted to find other ways that if we do end up shooting the ball really well from the 3-point line, that's the cherry on top, because we know we're going to defend. We know we're going to get out in the break. We know we're going to cause turnovers. We know we're going to get on the glass, and so forth. So that's just such a great thing to see right now. And I think what's helped Xavier Lee is knowing that he doesn't have to like that. Yes, he is a good shooter, and the numbers right now don't match his improvement, and we probably should just check into the numbers of his last 5 games. I think that's the trend that we're more likely to see the rest of the year, because not only is he taking care of the ball, I think he's shooting way better than he used to, and you know, and even Boogie Bland, you know, he's not. I think Boogie was shooting like 18% from the 3-point line at some point, which is pretty. You know, Hack, and this is funny. You know, I see these guys shooting so poorly from the 3-point line, and I'm like, doggone it, I could have taken some threes if we're going to accept people shooting this terribly from the 3-point line. You know, I could have made a few.
I saw Chinyalu tried one as well on Saturday. It didn't go in, but at least he tried one.
He tried it. I missed that because I did the George Washington games they had in December, and this was after they were on the road for a long time, and you could tell the team was a little bit fatigued, and they did start that game off well. And Chinyalu took a 3 in the first half, and I can't. What's the name of that movie where the guy's like, raindrop, make it, and he's just like a terrible.
Along came Polly.
That was, yes, Ruben took a 3, and it was an Along Came Polly brick, and I was like, oh my gosh, please never let him shoot again.
Yeah, actually, it wasn't that bad on Saturday. It was a little long, but wasn't bad. We got to go quick, Patrick, because I want to get to the future schedule for Florida. But quickly with Clavsar, boy, there was a guy that played for my Orlando Magic named Terrence Ross, and I'm going to compare the two right here. Terrence Ross was a guy that if that first 3 went in for him, boy, it was going to be a big game. I think Clavsar is kind of the same thing. If he sees that first 3 go in, you know he's going to have a big game because he just seems like a very streaky shooter.
You know, I think it's, you know, the shooters want to say that doesn't matter, but I think it does. I think you're absolutely right. When that first one goes in, mentally, and this is a great question for Lee Humphrey, if you can have him on at some point, that, you know, they're going to say they have a short memory, a quick memory, but I think that once that first one goes in, they're hunting for their next one because they know how effective they are. And the biggest thing too, Hack, is when you're a guy that like Irvine, a guy like Lee Humphrey, a guy like Michael Frazier, your teammates are begging you to shoot the ball when you have a window. If we give it to you and you have an opportunity, you shoot it. So with that level of confidence, and especially after knocking down the first one, he's got the triple green light, and he should be taking those opportunities as frequently as they come, because if you miss, guess what? You're rebounding at an offensive rebounding at a 42 to 45% rate. So more than likely, you're going to get the ball right back.
Final moments with Patrick Young. All right, Patrick, the last couple of games, you had Alabama and the whole Charles Bediako situation. Then you had a battle for first place in the conference with A&M. Then you had to go to Georgia and play your former coach and Mike White. Then you obviously had a huge one against Kentucky. And now all of a sudden you get South Carolina tomorrow. And then you go to Ole Miss, 2 of the worst teams in the conference.
Worst. Terrible.
Any concern for you about complacency for this team over the next 2 games?
You know, I want to be the guy, and I'm so glad you asked this. I want to be the guy and be like, no, they're not going to be in it. I don't think either one of these are trap games. You know, I've seen both of these teams play, especially South Carolina. South Carolina, you know, they play really hard. They just don't have enough. And Ole Miss, they just seem so discombobulated. I think they're on a 7 or 8 game losing streak right now, which is pretty dismal. And Florida, you know, it was really fun watching Ruben Chinyelu doing the BTA against South Carolina last week. So I really have no concerns for this team. If they are a championship caliber team, as we believe, they should handily win both of these games by 20 or more and just completely dominate.
Florida 19-6, 10-2 in the conference. Patrick, right now, who's the best team in college basketball?
Oh, man. After seeing, I thought it was Arizona, and Arizona's still really good. You know, I didn't see Texas Tech. I didn't foresee that upset win, but it was a game that went obviously to overtime. Is it up in the air? Is it Michigan? And former assistant Florida basketball or former assistant basketball coach Dusty May. Is it Duke? Duke is looking fantastic. Oh man, it's so tough to decide. But I think gun to my head, if I had to make a decision, more than likely I would give it to Houston or Duke. And then Florida is in that top 5 conversation. Yeah, but I think there's no clear-cut favorite right now. If I'm going to say Duke, Michigan, or Houston, Arizona, it's by a margin of a hair.
It's a busy week in the SEC and all over the country. SEC Network duties for you this week? What's the plan?
Yep. I'll fly out tomorrow, 10:58, and we got. Let's see what games we got. I think we got 3 tomorrow. Let's see how many of these are big time games. It was crazy. Last week we had 2 games at 7:00, and I was home before 10 p.m., which was pretty epic. We got Georgia at Kentucky. Georgia's spiraling, man. I don't know what happened. They started out so well.
Georgia needs that one tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they have. I do think Kentucky is the second best team in the SEC, seeing how they came and fought on the road. But we got 3 games on Tuesday, 5 on Wednesday, and none of these are barn burners. But it's fun. It's fun. Always fun watching Alabama, Arkansas on Wednesday is going to be a good one. I'm not a firm believer in Alabama, but I think Arkansas with Darius Acuff, he's so fun to watch. That freshman, man, he is special. Tennessee, Nate Ament. I don't want to say it's a down year for Tennessee, but they're not in the top 25. And in every year that I've been working with the SEC Network, they've been top 25 without a question and been so firmly in. So, it's the parity of the league. It's the cannibalization. My focus obviously is going to be seeing how these games play out. But I do like watching other conferences at this point because it's time, man. Florida is probably locked up playing in Tampa, and it's about time to be thinking about what those other matchups are going to be and make sure we're in the know about the possibilities for the future.
You'll be able to catch Patrick Young on the SEC Network on Tuesday and Wednesday. And, of course, you'll get him on the Gator Bites podcast with myself this Friday on the 1010XL social media platforms. Patrick, have a terrific week. Safe travels to Charlotte, and I'll talk to you on Friday, pal.
Sounds good, buddy. Can't wait.
And thank you to Patrick Young, former Gator grade basketball player, 2014 SEC Defensive Player of the Year. You hear Patrick all over the 1010XL airwaves, including with myself every Friday on the Gator Bites podcast. And we're also lucky enough to have him pretty regularly here on Hacker After Dark, as we certainly took a look back on the big Florida win over Kentucky. Florida now 19-6 overall, first place in the Southeastern Conference with a 10-2 conference record. Again, they've had a lot of big games, right? Alabama, Texas A&M, Georgia, Kentucky. Now, all of a sudden, tomorrow night, South Carolina, and Saturday against Ole Miss, 2 of, quite frankly, the worst teams in the SEC. Will there be any complacency for the Gators? We'll have to see, as they are big, big favorites in their next 2 contests. Of course, you'll hear the South Carolina-Florida game right here on 1010XL tomorrow night with tip-off there scheduled for 7 o'clock. So we certainly spent a lot of time on that. Also spent some time on the NFL and certainly the Jacksonville Jaguars. A couple of re-signings today for Jacksonville as some of the offseason stuff begins to take shape. Running back DJ Dallas re-signed by the team. Defensive lineman Matt Dickerson re-signed by the team, as all eyes now begin looking towards next week in the NFL Scouting Combine up in Indianapolis. And then, of course, we are now 3 weeks away, 3 weeks from today, as a matter of fact, until the start of NFL free agency. Well, that will just about do it, man. Very, very busy Monday night here on Hacker After Dark. We certainly appreciate you guys hanging out with us on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM, and we have a ton of people to thank. Again, thank you to Patrick Young. You get him every Monday here on Hacker After Dark, and you'll hear him on the Gator Bites podcast this Friday on the 1010XL social media network. Thank you to my pal Jamal St. Cyr of Channel 4 as we talk Jaguars earlier with Jamal. Likewise, back in hour number 1, Cameron Wolf of the NFL Network. It was Cameron Wolf's report about Travis Hunter being a primarily defensive back in 2026 that blew up over the weekend nationally. I don't think as much here locally. We had obviously thought that. James Gladstone has said as much in his season-ending press conference, but when Cameron came out on the NFL Network and mentioned that over the weekend, it became a pretty big story nationally, so we certainly thank Cameron Wolf for taking time out for us tonight here on Hacker After Dark. Now, we will be back tomorrow night. Baloo returns, so we're back in our normal slot, 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock on a Tuesday, and we do hope that you join us then. Aaron Williams was your producer tonight. Aaron, great job as always. I'm the hacker Ryan Green. And again, Jacksonville, thank you for spending part of your Monday evening with us right here on Hacker After Dark, on 1010XL, and on 92.5 FM. So for all of us here on HAD, have a terrific remainder of your Monday evening, and we will talk to you again tomorrow night on a Tuesday beginning at 8 o'clock. Until then,